Hi, it's Kai, and today we are going to be doing a Shop My Stash video. There are going to be some old products, some new to me products, some products so new to the market I'm not even allowed to talk about them at this point. Just a little bit of everything because I haven't done one of these Shop My Stashes or really a sit-down makeup video in some time, and I wanted to do one of these. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this video. I'm gonna keep the intro nice and short because I do blab a lot in this one. It's definitely a little bit of a chatty video, but I hope you guys enjoy. Let's just go ahead and start the makeup. Okie dokie, I have already primed my eyelids because that's kind of boring and I have been using the same primer for literally years now. I feel like eyeshadow primer just never seems to run out. But let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit, and I might need to raise up so that I don't go completely out of frame when we zoom in. Focus. Get the cat hair off of the lens. And we've got to get rid of my glasses as usual because you can't really do your eyeshadow through your glasses. It would be great if you could, but that is just not physically possible currently. And I am drinking an Alani Nu. This is the Orange Kiss one. I shouldn't have to say this, but since some people see the internet and allow their kids to be raised by the internet, if you are younger than 18 and honestly probably younger than 21, I know this is not an alcoholic beverage at all, but energy drinks, please use them responsibly. Even if you're over that age, use them responsibly. I only have one of these every couple of days. I literally make sure that I skip days in between. Yeah, I really like them for the taste, and the caffeine does help as someone who is not medicated for ADHD but has ADHD real bad. Again, I shouldn't have to make that disclaimer, but it seems like people have to now. It seems like the internet has to raise some people's kids. Anywho, this first product is actually so new that I'm not allowed to talk about it yet, but I still wanted to use it, or kind of need to use it to review it and get my hands on it and everything. And I wanted to see specifically how this product works with other products. So I'm just gonna go ahead with this shade and put it all over my lid. It's just kind of a brown, almost like a mauvey toned brown. It has just a hint of pink in it for my skin tone, or compared to my skin tone, I guess. So I'm just applying that all over my eye. I am planning to do a full review on this product once it is out. So I do like the fact that this formula does seem to blend pretty seamlessly. Like I don't need to use a brush necessarily to make it blend out into my crease. And maybe it's just because of the type of shade this is. It's almost like, again, my skin tone, but a little bit more pinky. But I do feel like this is a product that I can just slap all over my eye and then go on about my business. But again, I wanted to try it with other eyeshadow formulas to see if it's one where you have to use all of the eyeshadows from this line, or if you're able to mix and match them with other formulas without things getting too incredibly hairy. And these might fully, by the time I get to editing this video, be out. So if they are, I'll have them listed down below, and I will also, again, still be doing a full review video on them. But it's not a factor of me trying to gatekeep, it's just the fact that I'm still testing out these products in different ways. I wanted to film today. I wanted to specifically film a Shop My Stash video, and that's just the luck of the draw. It's not yet released, so I can't yet talk about it. And I am a person who likes to respect the launch dates and the embargo dates of the brands who so graciously send me something. I have some phytosurgeon shadows like Pewtered Pine and Chill Cherry, but I just don't know if these are a little bit more cool toned. Like Pewtered Pine is a kind of, and I don't know, this might already be discontinued, so if it is, whoopsies. But this one's kind of like a periwinkle color. It has some pinkish and silver sparkle in it. But again, I don't know if it's just a little bit too cool tone for what I'm going for. And this one's definitely a little bit more pinky. I could also use the ARG Smoke Temper, Smoke Reflect in Temper, which is a little bit, warmer than these other shades are. I think I'm gonna try this out with it, even though it's just like, this is a formula of eyeshadow that I generally pretty much like, even though it's kind of, and that's why you really have to, I feel like, try things out with different products, because this is a product that I find works pretty much with everything. So in one hand, it almost feels like that supplements when I'm trying out this other eyeshadow and seeing how it works with other things. It sometimes feels like I am giving it a little bit of a booster by doing that, a cheat code, if you will. But then also it's just like, if it's hanging with some of my favorite products, then it must also be a decent product. If it's not making my favorite products separate and do all of this other stuff, then again, it must be working pretty well. But again, that's why you got to test things out in different situations, different lighting, different heating, cooling. I do think they look pretty together, but I feel like this isn't giving off quite as much shine even. Like, this isn't the most, I'll even swatch it, it's not the most shimmery metallic thing out there, but I feel like on my eye, it's definitely not building up. Like, the way I guess it's mixing with this other shadow is maybe making it less, intense of a shine. Again, not necessarily a bad thing, especially depending on what type of look that you're going for. But I'm glad that I am seeing this on camera, and hopefully when I look back at the footage, it's kind of appearing the same. I don't know, sometimes I don't know things until I do look back at my camera and see, or I'm not sure if my eyes are lining up with reality because of the fact that, my prescription is over 4. That's all I'll say. Or is it -4? 4 in one of the directions. I'm not an optometrist or an ophthalmologist. I don't know how the eyes work like that. I was gonna use some black eyeliner, but I feel like I use black or even brown eyeliner all the time. So I'm gonna see if there's another color that I want to use today to kind of spruce this up. I am actually gonna do a little pinky purple action. This is one of the Urban Decay Glide On 24/7 Glide On eye pencils in the shade Voodoo. This came from an old Christmas set though, so I'm sure this has been renamed or repackaged in some sort of way. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do a little bit of purple today. It is so hard to stay in frame while doing eyeliner, so I'm using this little mirror that comes on the ARC eyeshadow. It's actually a really freaking good quality mirror, especially to be so small. I like the pop of purple today. And in general, I've always maintained that a colorful eyeliner, no matter what color you choose, is the easiest way to take any kind of neutral-ish eyeshadow look and add a little bit of something extra, add a little oomph to it. In a world full of clean girl makeup, even if you're doing something that is, again, more neutral or natural, adding a pop of color communicates just a little bit more to me, a little bit more interesting. Even the color that you pick for your eyeliner, I feel like can tell a lot about you. Like, if I see a girl with electric blue eyeliner, I feel like she's secure in herself. If someone's wearing like a burnished red, I'm like, oh, that's a grungy type of Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just crazy, but wear a pop of color on your eyelid in some way, shape, or form today. Okie dokie, moving on to the face, I actually do have a new concealer I'm testing out. This is the NYX Wonder Snatch concealer. It says it has up to 24-hour wear, which is something that I probably would never test for or really care about because I'm just not wearing my makeup for 24 hours, It says it's a full coverage concealer, and I have been trying this out already. This is the shade Cappuccino. I don't feel like it's full coverage. I feel like it's a good medium coverage. I'll let you guys decide based on what it looks like. I do feel like the shade Cappuccino is maybe a hair more orange than what I normally like. It's hard to choose colors online, But honestly, I feel like as my skin gets deeper this summer, because I know I'm going to get deeper being out skating, just being outside in general, going on walks, hikes, all of the fun outdoor activities I like to do once the weather warms up, I know I'm just going to get darker. Even I feel like my arms are starting to get darker. I just usually sunscreen my face, so my skin tends to get darker quicker. Look, the inside of my wrist, especially up here, this I would say is how light I can get. And even this might be a little bit more toasty than normal. This is a concealer I've liked letting sit a little bit on my under eyes because I feel like blending it out immediately took away some of the coverage, and I already, again, wasn't finding it to be particularly full coverage. I've also been blending it out with a concealer brush. This is something I can also do a full review and wear test on if you would like to see something like that. I just don't know if people are as concerned with concealer reviews. I feel like people kind of have their favorite concealers. They may bounce around and try something new occasionally, but I feel like, again, at this point, most people have what are their favorites or just what is in their collection if there's someone like me who is project panning everything. And that's how I feel about complexion in general. I feel like it's a category where a lot of people kind of have their favorites outside of maybe some reformulations that have been going on. That might be making more people, you know, branch out and try some new things. But I do feel like concealer is one of those categories where new launches aren't necessarily super interesting unless there's a new format or a special type of packaging or just something that really separates it from every other concealer we already have on the market, especially NYX. NYX has a lot of concealers. They have a lot of good concealers. They've always had pretty solid complexion products. So it's like, how does this one, outside of being 24-hour wear, which isn't something most people I feel need, and I know the 24-hour wear is probably just ultimately communicating it's supposed to wear for a really long time. But I feel like, again, all of NYX's concealers that I've tried in the past have been pretty decent wearing or long wearing. Their complexion products, again, pretty long wearing products. So it feels like, how is this different than what you've already offered us? This is what it's looking like underneath my eyes. I'll even zoom in just a little more so you can see and turn off this front light, because again, that front light tends to distort the lighting and make things a little bit more blown out. But I do feel like it's a pretty decent shade for my skin. Definitely the deeper that I get, it'll become more of a suitable shade, because I feel like my skin tone pulls a little bit more warm and even reddy and can handle orangier tones or just warmer toned concealers. Looking at it up close on my end, I feel like it doesn't look, you know, too dry. I just feel like it's not looking necessarily, and I feel the place that shows me the most that it's not the most full coverage is this part on my upper lip, which I did not blend out very well without my glasses. Whoopsie. I understand that color correcting is a separate step that is needed, especially for deeper, I guess, hyperpigmentation issues, but I have a little scrape on my top lip from where I embarrassingly passed out. I just had, I think my sister said it's called vasovagal syncope, just got a little too overheated and was passed out, fell face forward, chipped my tooth. I actually have also on the inside of my lip. That's why I've been talking. I don't know if I ever addressed it. I do have like a little knot on my bottom lip now, so I feel like I've been talking a little bit weirdly because it doesn't really hurt anymore, but it feels when I press on it with my tongue or my teeth scrape against it as I'm talking, it feels a little bit tingly. So it's again not necessarily hurtful, but just a little bit uncomfortable. Either way, sometimes I feel like I'm talking almost out of the side of this part of my mouth or out of the side of my mouth because this side has that little knot there. It's most likely a keloid, because a lot of my stuff, like my ears keloid, I think I have, yeah, over here a scrape from, I'm pretty sure, softball keloid. Anyway, we're just blabbering. I have this little, dark spot on my upper lip, and it's not really that dark. Like at the beginning of the video, you can even roll back the video to see what it looked like. I feel like it's not really that dark. And even right now, I can still see without my glasses where that is. And maybe I'm just a little hypercritical of the way that I look, but I can definitely still tell and see through that. And I feel like the darkness isn't deep and purpley, and just, it's not dark enough at this point for it to be showing like that through a full coverage concealer. So I do think it's like a higher coverage concealer, but I wouldn't necessarily qualify it as full coverage. But again, I can do a whole separate video on this concealer and my thoughts as I try it with different powders, more, all of that. It's also for someone like me who has under eye wrinkles or lines. I guess they're not really wrinkles. I've always had them since I was a kid, but I just have a more puffy and lined under eye area. You can see it the more that I talk and don't set it with powder, that it is getting in those lines. So for me, it's kind of like, are you really long wear if I have to set it so quickly after, if it's not drying down and setting down on its own? Even though I've honestly never really, I know there's self-setting makeup products out there, I've never really found that any cream makeup product sets itself. I've always been a person who has had to set my makeup with powder to get it to not crease and to completely stay and not get blotchy throughout the day. So I don't know if that, I wish that was, if it is something, I wish it's something that the technology actually works. And if the technology does actually work, let me know, because I would love to try out one of those types of products and actually see if it self-sets on, again, someone like me who has more drastic under eye, not bags, but lines and such. Anyway, let's zoom back out and, what is that called? Apply some powder. I usually use this Milani one. It's just the one that I've been trying to finish because I have too many powders to necessitate buying more before finishing some. But I kind of want to try something different today. Something from, again, my stash. I feel like I've been doing a pretty decent job though of getting rid of my products or panning things. So I am going to, this is the old CoverGirl Clean Professional powder or loose powder in the shade Translucent Honey. That's what it looks like in there. And I hope it doesn't darken my under eyes too much since this concealer already is a little deep for me, but I'll just take a little bit in the cap. It also has a little bit of sparkle in it. And again, I want to try out this concealer with different products to see how it performs, not just with the same things I always use. This concealer being set by that Milani powder, it's perfectly fine in my opinion. They work well together. But I find that powder just generally works well. So does it work well with that powder because the powder is good, or because, both of them are good products independently working good together? Or I guess grammatically working well would be the right thing, but whatever. And then I have what I kind of have started calling my basket of doom, because it has so many new/new-ish products, whether they were sent to me or whether I purchased them. And some of them are, even though they're old, years old, still in the packaging, because I just bought, in this, I have 1 liquid liner, 2 liquid liners, 3 liquid liners, because at the time I was running out of the liquid liner I was using, and was like, oh yeah, let me get 3 different types to try, or get another. And now all 3 of them are still in there because I'm not using liquid liner as much, or I'm saying, hey, I can even do my wings with pencil liner to finish up this pencil liner. So again, don't be like me. This was in my consumerist era. I'm happy to say that I am more separated from this, especially from the buying multiple things. Like, I'm pretty sure I bought all of these eyeliners in the same trip, which is freaking crazy. But some of these have been sent to me. Some of them are products I've won in brand giveaways. Today, I wanted to use, because I saw this down here, and I'm pretty sure I've used this before, but it's the CoverGirl Clean Invisible Skin Tint. I have not used this in so long because I've been just focusing on my Project Pan products. So I was just like, you know what, let me get this out and see what I remember about it. I feel like I've seen a few videos that have been raving about it over the past few months. So again, sometimes when I see other people's videos about a product, even if I already have that product, it makes me be like, let me try that out. Let me see how it works on me. So this is the shade Deep Golden, I will say, because I also at one time had a friend that I was helping pick the shade of that, because I was like, I remember enjoying that. And that friend actually did enjoy that skin tint. Or is it a foundation? Yeah, it says it's a foundation. It's definitely giving more coverage, at least from what I can see right now, than a skin tint, but it's like maybe a medium coverage foundation. Definitely not something that is full coverage. I think they also had skin tint in packaging similar to this as well. Either way, the friend that I had recommended that product or this product to enjoyed it. I remember enjoying it. So when I saw it in that basket as I was, going through things, trying to find other items that I was using when I was doing my makeup one day, I was like, I need to pull that one back out and use it again. But I do remember when I was helping pick the shade, I was like, okay, so the shade Golden isn't necessarily yellow toned. Like if you look on the website or anywhere that sells it, you'll see golden. What is this shade? This is Deep Golden, but then the description of the actual foundation is as a more neutral toned foundation, which it is more neutral toned. And I kind of hate that they do that, because it's just like, it requires a little bit more diligence that I feel like some people are not going to want to do when they're just picking up a new foundation from Walmart or Target or wherever they get their less expensive foundations from. Then that person is like, oh, I have to go get another shade. This isn't my correct shade. It causes more waste because either that person throws out the wrong shade for them, or they're like mixing it. They still have to purchase two foundations, and it's like, in the year 2026, I don't feel like people should still have to buy two foundations to fit their skin tone. We've got people entering relationships with their computers, and you're telling me that there's not enough foundations out of all of the brands that exist to fit everyone's skin tone, like at least close enough. You know what I'm saying? It's just, and I know that not every brand can carry every single foundation color known to man, but we should at least be approximating a little bit better at this point, in my personal opinion. Let's add a little purple on the lower lash line. I'm gonna use a different bronzer today, but since I have been taking a little bit of a break from Project Pan videos, I wanted to show the progress on my Physicians Formula bronzer. This is all that is left, literally what is gathered around right here. So even though I am not using it today, it makes me want to use it today, because I feel as though I've got realistically like a week or two's worth of use out of it. And it would be so exciting to finish that product. But again, it's a shot my stash, so let's use something a little different. I don't know if this product still exists. Oh, it's got, what do you call it? All over it. Shimmer. What happened there? Anyway, I don't know if this product still exists. It was one of those brands that around the pandemic, or the beginning of the pandemic, I should say, I saw them pop up in a lot of stores like Walmart's and CVS's and stuff like that. And then I started seeing less and less of them. And even I'm pretty sure purchased this product online. I had originally tried some of their products, in stores, but I again, think their presence just kind of started going away, so I'm not sure where they stand these days. But this is Kokie Professional or Kokie Cosmetics. This is their matte bronzer in the shade Soul Tan, and it is looking a little bit orangey red, but I haven't used this in such a long time, so I figured I might as well use it today, since this is a video about old products, new products. So new products, I can't even talk about them. New to me products. It's okay. I don't feel like it's my favorite color of bronzer, but I don't feel like it's bad. And in general, bronzer and contour, like that category of cheek products in particular, it's just not my most favorite category. And that's why it infuriates me sometimes that I have so many bronzers, because it's like, girl, you just kind of use bronzer as a way to bring a little bit of life and dimension back to your face after blanking it all out with foundation. You don't really care about them that much. If anything, I would rather have, you know, a super huge blush collection, even though even that gets to a point, and my makeup collection is definitely where I'm like, it's at a point. Speaking of blush, let's hit my brows with a little brow gel. I don't know what to do with my brows. I'm in between regrowing them out so I can do a different color than just straight up blonde, but then sometimes I look back at the photos of the blonde brows and I'm like, those were really nice. Like it looked like the really bright bleach blonde, but honestly the last time I tried to dye my brows blonde, like the new growth wasn't blonding, so I don't know if it's resistant to the brand of hair dye and bleach that I have, so I might try like another brand. I'll have to see, but that's where we're at with my brows. Are like 99% I feel grown out with just random hair, blonde, golden blonde at this point, like Goldilocks golden. I kind of want to use something more on the pink side of things, but I feel like I have a lot of warmer pink blushes out. I feel like these are very similar shades actually. This one's translating just a hair more purple. This one is a little bit more warm, almost like a brick shade, but they're both pretty close. I just don't know. I feel like I like this one better. It's literally like old versus new. This one is the CL Flush and Protect in the shade Blaze. And this blush, I'm pretty sure, has been discontinued for a while. It is their Velvet Blush in the shade Majestic. But I'm going to use Majestic today. Though, again, if you want something that looks pretty similar, I can even give them a quick swatcheroo. That is literally what they look like side by side. So this one up top is the Ulta one, and then this one right here is the CL one. Honestly, like I said, they're very close in color. So while CL is a little bit more expensive than the Ulta Beauty line of blushes would be, I think this is a pretty close alternative if you're looking for something similar to this one. I don't know if Ulta's maybe come out with a shade similar. I feel like I always really liked this shade and then they got rid of it, and that's part of the reason I've held on to this one for so long. This is actually the CL blush brush, which I really like. I feel like it's good for these blushes that are more pigmented, and it also is good for like this part of my face. And something I've started realizing with my makeup is that I like my makeup a lot more when I pay attention to what brushes I'm using. For instance, this is honestly the blush brush that I normally use, and I feel like it's honestly a bit big for my face. It could probably be used as more of a bronzer blush, which is not necessarily, you know, a big deal because I do like to put a lot of blush, but sometimes I feel like, oh, my blush placement got really low and now it's making my face kind of droop down or look a little bit weird or look less like blush and more like, you know, I'm about to pass out or something. So I do feel like smaller brushes like this give me a little bit more control so that I can bring them up, you know, to my temple and even into the socket of my eye a little bit without it necessarily going all the way under my eyes and just not really giving me the look that I want. And overall, I feel as though I've come to the conclusion that smaller brushes work better for my face. Like even eyeshadow brushes. Oh my gosh, that's so hard when you're blushing and trying to talk about brushes. But even with eyeshadow brushes, I find that I often like my looks when I use, especially with blending brushes, something that is smaller, more pointed brushes, things like that, versus using some of my bigger brushes like this. Like this is just for crease blending colors, or honestly this one I use more than anything for when I want to blend multiple colors together. You know, I've already laid my crease and my outer corner shade and I'm trying to blend the two and gradient them, but otherwise this one, it takes up half my eye. It takes up almost all the way up to my eyebrow. So sometimes when I use this to place color, I find it to be a little bit too much, messy, sloppy, just for me. It can look fine in certain instances, but in others, it just feels like it's not placing everything where I want it. Highlight. You know, highlight is one of those categories that I now am a little bit more like, I don't care ultimately what highlight I use. Let's use, is this one Crown of My Canopy? I think Precious Petals is somewhere else in this drawer. This is a Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighting powder, the one and only Precious Petals. I haven't really kept up with a lot from Wet n Wild in the past few years, if I'm being completely honest. So I don't even know. I know they come out with a lot of collections, and that's kind of what caused a little bit of my disinterest in them, because it's just like, I don't really care about constant limited edition collections that are unicorn and, you know, all of those things. It's just not something that's super interesting to me specifically. Gosh, every time I just barely tap my brush into this and then put it on and I'm like, whoa, that's so much highlight. It reminds me of the fact that we were really getting down in 2016, 2017, like pretty much 2016 to 2020. We were again getting down with the highlighter and the makeup in general. We did not care that the makeup looked obvious. We did not care that the makeup wasn't natural, and how blinding our highlight was, even if we just used a little bit of it, is evidence. You know, the formulas, they don't lie. This is like the makeup equivalent of a period piece at this point, in my personal opinion. But I do feel like you can still make it look pretty, like soft, diffused, kind of melded in with the rest of your makeup. So far, I'm a fan of how everything is working on my face today. Of course, I don't have my glasses on, so I could change my mind once we put them back on. Of course, my faux freckles. I'm using the Freckles 03 shade along with just the brush from the Freck XL. I always make them uneven, which I mean, freckles are uneven in real life, but I make them uneven in that they're like heavier on one side than the other. But honestly, I feel like going in with multiple layers of faux freckles, blending them out at different times, letting some get darker than others before blending them out. Again, just going in with multiple layers can make them look more realistic if a realistic faux freckle is what you're looking for. And then Urban Decay, I am on like the last little bit of this original formula of the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray, which is similar / possibly the same formula as the Scandinavia bridal spray and like their line of setting sprays, because they used to partner with Urban Decay for this. And you know, they had all of that drama with it. I don't think I ever really talked about my thoughts on that, but I might as well, since, you know, we're using it. But I feel as though while Scandinavia's reasons for airing everything out valid, it got to the point for me, like at first, I feel like everyone was on Scandinavia's side, kind of being blindsided by your longtime business partner deciding to end your partnership with them for one of their most iconic and well-sold products. That is a little messed up, especially when one brand is like a big conglomerate or is under a big conglomerate. However, for me, it got to the point where I was just like making your entire social media presence and entire everything about how this big brand, this big conglomerate wronged you versus having a rollout like saying, hey, this happened. If you want to get the original formula, you can get it here, and then letting that product speak for itself. I feel like they had so much, and even still possibly, I don't know what the current general sentiment toward them is, but they had so much more momentum towards them, had that blow up and everything, and then they just kept going and they made their platform more about Urban Decay than about how good their product is. And that's where I feel like if they don't survive this, they messed up. Instead of pivoting to this is the original formula of this, or this is our supercharged version of this, we were the makers of that, instead of focusing more again on their product, I feel like they just kept being like, Urban Decay, this big conglomerate, they wronged us, they wronged us, they wronged us. They're not the originals. They made their own formula. Again, the reframing for me. And that just made me, when I was thinking, okay, if I really like the Urban Decay one, because I don't think I had tried this at that point, I was like, if I really like it, since they're doing the reformulation, I will go and try the Scandinavia one instead if I want something that actually helps my makeup last, because I do feel like this is a really good setting spray. But again, just the more they were focused on being wronged versus, okay, now we have all of this public, rahaha behind us, let's continue showing them why our product is the preferred, why we had this partnership for so long, especially after people were coming back being like, oh, I don't necessarily love the new version of the Urban Decay spray. I feel like that was where it had, or it could have ended, and it would have been like, okay, let's pivot to our product being good versus, again, making the narrative more about how wronged they were. Anywho, I guess I can put my glasses back on now. And honestly, I haven't been doing a lot of mascara because I don't like the way mascara feels hitting my glasses. Even my eyelashes as they are hitting my glasses lenses. It's annoying. It makes them fog up because, my lashes, I guess, are nice and oiled. So when they scrape against the lenses, it's getting oil on them. And then I take them off and just see all of these, up and down little flicks in the middle that are making it blurry. So again, don't love that. And I've been using less mascara because of that. I will use mascara on a bolder look because I'll often want, again, my lashes to stand out from the makeup. But even just more natural looks like this, I feel like you can tell she has eyelashes underneath it. I don't know. That's just where I've been at. You are allowed to take whatever steps out of makeup that you want to. If you want to wear lipstick with no foundation, if you want to wear eyeshadow with no foundation, if you want to wear eyeshadow and lipstick and no foundation, if you want to wear blush and lipstick, like, you're allowed to do whatever with makeup. And honestly, I have the most fun with makeup and the least amount of sensory issues with it when I remind myself, like, if I don't want to wear foundation with this specific eye look, I don't have to. It might look conventionally better if I have a full face with a smoky eye, but there's literally no law saying that I have to do that. And honestly, if you know how to do your makeup pretty well, you can often get away with skipping steps and other people being none the wiser. Okie dokie lips. What do we have for lips? I have just a lot of lip products, honestly, but I want something comfortable because my lips have been peeling, aka I've been peeling them because that's one of my body focused repetitive behaviors. It's either that, nail biting, or like picking at my hair. So when you have very little hair and you're trying not to bite your nails because you're painting them, that leaves lip picking, unfortunately. Let's use this Violette FR Batiste. This is their Lip Nectar Hydrating Lip Stain because I remember these really smoothing out the lips, and it'll leave behind some color, but it's not accentuating any. And even after it dries down, it's one that I remember not really accentuating the lines and cracks in my lips. And I feel like this shade goes well with this blush. Yeah, I remember why I liked the texture of it. It's like pillowy and a little buttery at the same time, and it doesn't feel too heavy on the lips, but it's still not something that like, you know, feels like it's going to wear away in 20 seconds. It might. I haven't used these in a while, so again, if there's any of these where I should go back into testing them deeply and you want a full review about them, I'd definitely be down to do reviews. I'm cool with doing reviews on older products. But anyway, this is what we're looking like, and honestly, not too shabby for using some old, some new, some just new to me. I feel like we put together a cute little spring look with a slight pop of color, nothing too crazy. Let me turn off this light in front of me so that it stops blowing everything out, and you can see again the full effect just under 2 studio lights instead of another fluorescent light right in front of me. I liked how all of these products work together. The one thing I will say is, again, I will have to try it with more things, but the original eyeshadow, that matte shadow that I used, I feel as though the way that it mixed with this specific cream eyeshadow from Auric Beauty, that it kind of dulled down, and I already wiped the swatch off, of course, but I do feel like it kind of dulled down the shimmer and shine of that even on its own. So I want to try it out with other shimmer shades, maybe like a powder shimmer shade, and see how that works. I also have another shade of that product that I've been trying out that I've tried both of them together, like one on top of the other, and I noticed the same type of thing. Like the one shade that is more shimmery on its own definitely has more of that shimmer and shine when I wear it on its own versus topping it with that other shade. So again, something I'm gonna have to see, is it formula? Is it just like the way that it is? Is it what the vibe is going for? Again, just need to do a little bit more investigation in that. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what else you want to see. If you want to see some more Shop My Stashes, if you want to see some reviews on any of the products I talked about today, definitely down to film any of that. Either way, I hope you are staying safe and healthy wherever you are when you're watching this, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.